everyone, it's Justine with an inlay die cutting tutorial, and I'm doing this for the AAA card challenge, so I'll link to that below if you're interested in playing along and trying this technique out. So essentially what inlay die cutting is cutting directly on the card base like I'm doing right now, an 11 by 4¼ inch card base. I am cutting this 3 times, and I'm going to try and keep these flowers intact. I'm going to cut these flowers 3 times on the card base. And then I'm going to cut this flower a few times in some different colors, and I'm going to rearrange them all back onto the card base using different colors. That's essentially what inlaid die cutting is. So as I said, I cut this 3 times on the card base. I'm going to shimmy that off to the side and hopefully keep all of the pieces intact. I'm also going to cut 3 times the flower in black cardstock, and then as well 3 times in pink cardstock. These are both from Simon Says Stamp, the black and dull pink. I'm going to rearrange them all together afterwards, and I'll show you exactly what I mean. What's really cool is once you're done this, you can get anywhere from 2 to 3 cards out of this, just from this one technique, depending on how you rearrange them afterwards. So now that I have everything ready and set to go, I am going to gather all of my pieces here, as well as my card base, and I'm going to pop the flowers out of my card base. When I cut these, I did use a shim in my die cutting machine just because these are quite intricate dies, and if you don't, you might have a little bit of trouble popping these out. I grabbed a piece of computer paper that measures 4 by 5¼ inches. It's just regular computer paper, and I'm going to glue this onto the inside of the card. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I need a place to actually glue down my flowers, and right now I have these holes in my card. So I'm just attaching this to the inside of the card, way over top of the place where I die cut already, so that I have a nice base. When you open the card, this is going to be the top portion, not the portion you write on, so it should be no problem and it doesn't look distasteful or anything like that. So now I have all these pieces, and I'm just going to rearrange them using my tweezers, and I'm going to make it easier by actually folding my base here first, and then I'm going to get started. Alright, so I'm only going to show one flower on the video, so I'm just going to pop out all of these little pieces here of the black flower because I just want the outline of the black flower for now. And I'm going to fill in the rest of the spaces with pink. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab glue, and I'm going to glue it all down here onto the cardstock, stick in the black outline of the flower, and then I am going to attach all the little pieces from the pink flower inside to create sort of a colored look to the card without doing any coloring. What's really cool, as I mentioned before, about inlaid die cutting is that it's actually all one layer. This is all in the same layer as my card base. So it's one of those techniques where people will often ask, how did you do that? And I absolutely love doing that with card making. It is a little bit tedious because this die has a lot of really tiny pieces, but you can really do this with anything from a sentiment to really non-intricate dies at all. It's just up to you. By doing this, you're going to also have a lot of leftover pieces. For example, you're going to have the pink outline of the flower, the black little pieces inside the flower, and you're also going to have the white flowers that you cut out before. So you've created a lot of extra pieces that you can make extra cards with, and I'm going to show you another extra card that you can create just after this. So now that you've seen how to do this technique, and I'm going to complete the other 2 flowers off screen since I'm just doing the same thing over and over again, and I don't want you to get bored. Now that I have all 3 flowers complete, the card is relatively complete other than adding a sentiment. But I wanted to show you how to create another card using the rest of the pieces. So I'm grabbing another card base and a bone folder, and I'm just going to fold my card in half. And then I'm going to gather some of these other flowers that I had cut out. So I have all these pink and white flowers still, and I'm going to glue them down only in the center on my card so that they pop up and give a 3D look. So I'm just going to piece them down, pink, white, pink, white, pink, white. And as I was making my card here, I'm just sticking down the middle. You'll see I'm just gluing the middle. It probably wouldn't do to send this one through the mail because the flowers might end up getting damaged or falling off. But this is a good gift just to give to a friend kind of in person. And I really like the way that the flowers pop up and give that shadow. So I'm just kind of also arranging it where some petals are under the others so that you get nice pink-white contrast. And I thought about adding other flowers, but in the end I decided to add one more pink flower, but I did that off screen, and I only did that because I got a little black smudge on the top of my card for whatever reason that ended up happening. So I'm using the stamp Thinking of You from Altenew. It's got Thinking of You in a bunch of different fonts and a couple of other sayings that go with it. I really like this stamp, and I like the fact that it comes in different fonts. I feel like both these cards stylistically are very different, even though they use the same die. I feel this one's sort of like this really bold, colorful look, and it needed a bold sentiment and a bold font. So I wanted to create this sort of no-nonsense Thinking of You in bold, and I think that's the most effective way. However, with this card, it's more whimsical and feminine, and in my opinion, it just doesn't have that really bold look. So I wanted a sort of wispy handwriting. And I'm using a Misty stamping tool at the moment because I've come so far on my cards, and these cards have taken a really long time. At this point, I don't want anything to happen with my stamping where I accidentally screw it up, like drop my stamp or stamp only partially, and then I have to do that whole double stamp thing and pray that I stamp twice on the same spot. This way, I can just stamp over and over again until I get the appropriate look that I need. So that's the end of today's card tutorial. We've created these two cards using the dies that we created with the intention of actually just making one card. And there are a couple of flowers left over that you could use. So here's a final look with that added flower, as well as I added a couple of rhinestones and some Wink of Stella glitter to my card just for extra embellishment. I hope you enjoyed this card tutorial. All the supplies used are linked to below in the video description or on my blog. Up at the top, you can click to visit my blog. Over on the right, you can subscribe to my channel by hitting the subscribe button, or if you click on that flower card right there, you'll be taken to that video tutorial. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow for another video.